Yeah, it's dark.
The moon landing happened, Jake.
Real dad shit, dog.
Don't fuck with me or I'ma fuck with you.
For all the emo sad girls, I want to touch bellies with this man.
Well, what's up, Jake?
Oh, hey, Aaron.
What's going on?
Not too much. We
Hey,
got some special guests, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I told you to bring friends. Did you actually bring friends this time? Because we need friends.
No, I don't have any friends.
But you brought friends today? Where are they at?
I didn't bring any.
All right, well, that's fine. I brought my own friends since
Okay.
you can't seem to ever find any.
You're my only friend, Aaron.
Yeah.
I'm lonely.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Levi and Ashton of Thin the Herd. What the fuck is
What's
up?
up? Happy to be here.
Sure.
So I guess just introduce yourself, even though I just introduced you, and explain who your band is and, you know, what you do in the band, what instrument you play, because I'm not quite sure that I remember because I'm a piece of shit podcast host.
That's all good. I'm Levi. I do most of the harsh vocals in the band.
All right. I'm Ashton. I do backup, screaming. I do the cleans, and I do bass for the band.
Hell yeah. All right, well, now that we have that out of the way, I wish I would have just known that before the podcast. You would have thought that I would have had that figured out, but no. So I had the pleasure of meeting you guys recently at Lito's Pizza in Lynchburg, Virginia. And this is the third or fourth time this concert has come up on an episode of our podcast since.
Yeah, we're just, we're trying to get everybody on the show.
Yeah.
From that show.
Exactly, because what's more metal than doing a show at a pizza restaurant?
Yeah.
But no, we met you guys there at that show, and it wasn't under the best of circumstances for you guys, but I'm sure you would agree that it was one of the better shows that, well, I have seen in Lynchburg for sure. Yeah. Like it was insane.
We were definitely very impressed by the crowd turnout for sure. Having a pizza shop get crowded out by, I think it was over 100 people, 130 people or something. That's insane.
Bro, we were surprised that a pizza restaurant had that many people show up for a metal concert.
Yeah.
I mean, you had told me that Saliva had played there once, but
it's
not
Trapped has too.
Trapped
has.
Yeah, it was Saliva too. Saliva's played there.
Saliva and Trapped played there, and I was like, okay, so that's all I know about this venue going into it, is that I like getting dinner there with my family, and now apparently Saliva and Trapped have played there. So, anyway, so I'm gonna get the kind of crappy stuff out of the way first, because since that is how we met, I wanted to give y'all an opportunity to discuss what had happened at that show, because I believe it was supposed to be y'all's first ever show, correct?
Very debut show, correct.
Yeah, that's right, first show.
So
it was really, it was just a combination of technical difficulties. With this first show, we definitely tried to do everything right the first time. We had gone in with full backing tracks, a gear rack, in-ear monitor. So we tried to do the whole thing right, but with that much tech around, it's
easy to get screwed up.
Yeah, for sure.
So on the technical side of things, I run the rack that we use live. And so our biggest difficulty is if you're running backing tracks, one, make them simple. We had 198 channels running at once.
Oh my.
Right. My computer didn't shit the bed too hard at first.
Okay.
And then we went to go live, and nothing was working. Our in-ear transmitter had changed over its channels, so also another piece of advice, check your in-ear transmitters before you even get to prepping for the live show, right?
Right.
And then we were using a Tascam interface, and the routing wasn't correct in my DAW, so I was sending the master mix out through the snake, and what we were getting out on the front of house was just insane, garbled nonsense that made no sense. And we had a few XLR issues, but all in all, huge learning experience for us, especially on the tech side of things. We were able to simplify things for the show we just played.
With Weeping Wound.
Yeah, with Weeping Wound down in Riverview Vinyl. So, yeah, it was, even though it kind of sucked for all of us because we all wanted to play, especially with our friends at Two Sides of Me. we figured it out and we're doing better now. So
Hell yeah. Well, I remember like just looking at y'all and I was like, okay, this changeover is taking a little longer than it should be.
Right.
And then I specifically saw you, Ashton, looking very upset about the whole situation. And I was just I feel so bad for these guys right now. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, with 198 tracks that aren't routed right, you're not going to have a good time. And we had to cut an entire song.
We were going to have to cut a song anyway, even if everything was right. It's hard to get everything right the first time. We've heard from our friends that, bro, your first show, no matter what you do, is going to fall short in some way. Yeah. So this was definitely our hard knock for sure.
We also look at it this way, though. We can't suck if we don't play.
That's true. Your first show can't be bad if it didn't happen. So
right. That's right.
Plus side.
Hold on 1 second, guys. I can't hear you in my
all
ears
good.
all of a sudden.
You can't hear me?
Nope. Well, I can. You're just really quiet. Talk again.
How about now?
Oh, that's good. Okay. I think I did change. Anyway, sorry about that. Speaking of technical difficulties.
Nothing ever goes right for us.
Yeah. Well, no, we've been doing decent lately.
Okay.
But our first few episodes, man, let me tell you.
Especially an interview. Any kind of guest or anything is something goes wrong every time.
Yeah, I mean, we started this thing in March, and then my first interview went fine when it was just me and Garrett from Silent Planet, and he was driving in his car while he was talking to me.
I saw that, funnily enough, yeah.
And he was. I was like, dude, this is sick. But are you safe right now? Like,
nah, it's just a few speed bumps on the highway, man. Don't worry about it.
Right. Anyway, back to you guys. So we met after that set. Unfortunately, did not happen. You did not suck, like you said, because there was nothing to judge at the time. But when I went up and talked to you guys, you seemed like such awesome dudes and seemed genuine about your music and proud of what you were created and upset that you couldn't play it for everyone. So I'm really happy to have you guys on the show. And now Jake and I both have heard your full new EP, which I want to get into right now.
Verdict's out.
We can make it short. You can just tell us it's trash.
I had to make sure I was listening to the right band, if I'm being completely honest with you. Not that okay, this is going to sound awful, but I don't mean it to be. When I listen to an artist for the first time, especially a band that I met in person before I heard their music, there is a certain like, okay, these guys are new. They're brand new, right? How good can it be? Well, I think you and I were both very surprised on how good this EP was, because y'all sounded like you've been doing it for 10 years. I'm being dead serious.
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah.
It sounded like, oh yeah, we've been signed to Rise Records for the last 8 years. We're moving on to,
It's definitely better than some of that.
UNFD. Yeah, that's my point. But that's the vibe I got listening to it. And for an independent new artist that has now played, correct me if I'm wrong, but only one show, right?
But yeah, well, basically one show under our belt, correct?
I mean, boys, that EP fucked. There's really no other way to put it, especially given your circumstances. Specifically, can you pull up the track list for me real quick? I know you had it up earlier. Scroll to the bottom. Volition? Am I saying that right?
Volition, yeah, you're saying that right.
That song is probably the best thing I've heard in like the last probably 2 months from the metalcore.
Thank you. That was, funnily enough, the most nervous we were. That was the most nervous track we were to release. Just because the clean singing was new for us. We were kind of going into the genre with, I guess you'd say, our first 3 releases kind of as like this heavy metalcore, pisscore thing. And then we had a song that we were like, oh, dude, this is going to be like kind of a surprise to everyone. It's the last track on the EP. It's the first song Ashton sung, for us. And it was just nerve wracking to be like, are people going to be like, man, this is your first EP. You already sold out. What the hell?
Well, that's the thing. If you put it on your first like bundle release, no one can say shit because it's like, okay, but it was on our first EP.
Yeah, if people don't know what to expect yet, then it can be whatever it wants to be.
Exactly.
Right.
So that was my personal favorite song. And Ashton, you said those were your clean vocals, correct?
Yeah, they were.
They sounded amazing, dude. And I hope you guys put out more tracks with that. Not saying I don't like the angry stuff, but I don't know if it was like this for you. But when I was listening to this EP, I got to like the second to last song. And I'm like, all right, I think I got these guys figured out. And then Volition came on, and I was like, we got cleans. This is awesome.
Oh, no.
But tell me a little bit about like what went into creating that EP, how long you've been working on it, just anything you want to say about it, because you've heard what we have to say. We love it. We think it's great.
Yeah. That's super relieving to hear that the feedback we've gotten from it has been so positive. Truly relieving, because as like a new band that's, just coming up, it's like, it's nerve wracking to see how you compare to the bands that are already around. So we're really grateful to hear that people are, liking it. As far as the journey of making it, the band like was officially getting together like about 2 years ago. We weren't like writing music necessarily. We were all new people to the genre. We had never been in bands before, really. And we were all figuring this how to be a band thing, like from scratch. We had no outside influences or people to help.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we're gonna tell a story, we should make it consistent. So, like, you and Caleb go back 3 years now.
Right.
I've only been in the band for a year. Actually, what month is it? November?
You've been a little over a year, I believe.
Yeah. So the project of Herd Mentality, before it got its name, has been the brainchild of this guy here and our guitarist, who unfortunately is not here tonight. Little to say, when I joined, I had to listen to their demos to make sure these guys don't sound like shit. Because, I don't want to stick around with a band I know that isn't going to be able to, make it in the long term. And, we really got to meet each other a couple months after we started hanging out, me and Levi. I would help him with some of his songwriting, and then I got to meet Caleb. And all three of us went to a little journey to write music for a weekend, and we really got familiar with each other.
Yeah.
And I think our personalities just mesh like so well, so that's what makes it work. But Herd Mentality, I guess in total, from the first song, it's been in the works for 3 years, right?
Yeah, something around 3 years if you count like all the how the hell do we be a band? How do we write? Like, it took us forever to figure out a drummer situation, and still to this day, technically, we don't have a full-time drummer. But we've had a lot of help. Tony from Two Sides of Me produced the record, and he was the EP, and was awesome to work with. And we had it mixed and mastered by Josh Ang of Pincer Plus. So he's been awesome to work with. We've just been really blessed with the people we run into on this journey that made the EP sound as good as it does.
That's awesome, man. And we actually did talk with Tone. We actually interviewed Two Sides of Me last week. They're buddies. Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
And I would say for the last 6 years we've been around them. 7 years. Yeah. Just seeing them go from nothing to where they're at today. Yeah. And especially Tony's journey specifically.
Yeah, he's definitely been putting in a lot of work to get to where they are now.
For sure. But anyway, we'd asked Tony, like, because he had worked with you guys on some music before. At least that's what the Spotify credits told me. I confirmed that with Tony, because I was like, I don't know if I can always believe those. But when we told Tony and EJ that y'all were going to be on the show, they were super hyped for you guys and us, because I know they really enjoyed you guys, and I know it was a good time for them as well.
Yeah, they're our boys for sure. They've always had our back since we've known them. I mean, every single member is a joy to be around, and they've been really brothers to us.
That's awesome. I want you to specifically talk about the artwork, because I don't usually pay attention to artwork anymore, but I thought the artwork for this EP was so like 2013 Miss May I kind of art. Okay. Like I can see that. And I thought that this was sick. So tell me a little bit about it, if there's anything to tell.
So we had originally come up with a concept for those like dogs and stuff on there to be there. But we hired Chase Polittle to do the artwork. He was wonderful to work with, and he kind of took hey, we want to have these dogs and they're chained up and stuff, and we want to take that idea. And he just ran wild with it and created that. Truly, it's really his brainchild.
I was just because I remember when we were in the planning phase for it, we did have a couple artists. I don't think Miss May I was like the one that we kind of
Right.
about, but it was. I think I Prevail was
Oh,
it.
yeah,
That one
It
of the
was,
album
we were,
covers?
yeah, we were trying to see like all these different art styles and trying to kind of blend all these different ideas, like what makes something iconic.
Yeah.
And we just kind of said, here you go and have fun. Cause we think truly like our best experiences with artwork, whether it be like cover art or like merch designs and stuff like that, is just give the artist really as much control as you can. Cause
Yeah.
they're going to know what's better than us who has very little experience in graphic design.
Dude, and sometimes those graphic designers can make the coolest shit. Like,
yeah.
especially
when we
you
got
think
it
about-
back, it was a surprise.
when you think about like specifically metalcore, right? Their
Mhm.
t-shirt designs, their hoodies, their album artwork, usually, unless you're Wage War and then you have a diamond. It's some of the coolest art I've ever seen. Like, and I'm like, man, I think it gets overlooked a lot because its music isn't audible, and sometimes like a video, you know, that's how you take it in. But a still image can speak volumes too. I think like when I saw your artwork, I was like, okay, this is gonna slap.
That's awesome.
I also kind of wrote down while I was listening to it, and you jump in here at any point if you have anything to say, Jake, about it. But I said it sounds both nostalgic and fresh at the same time. And that might be a track by track take when I was listening to it, but specifically on the second track, which is Spineless. And then, like I said, the final track, Volition, it sounded like, I was like, okay, parts of these songs sound like 2012, 2013 metalcore. But then other parts of them sound like something especially like a lot of the drum parts on the EP. I specifically remember thinking, damn, I have not heard something like this before. And it fits so well. I don't know how much you two can comment on the drum parts if you want to, but I thought the drums on this EP were fantastic.
Do you have anything to say about the drums?
I would say that Josh Eng has a gift for writing rhythm. I would give him that. He's he comes out of Dealer. That's where he started, and he's just grown to be such a great producer. And you can hand him anything, and he's just able to produce this amazing sound with it. And that doesn't stop just with guitars or vocals. He does an amazing job with the drums as well. So that's pretty much what I'd have to say about that.
Heck yeah.
I was applauding how technical AIM was when it started.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. The beginning of
that's
that
a very
song.
heavy technical song. Yeah, especially it was just shredding straight from the start.
Yep.
Caleb curses himself to this day for how hard he makes his job in the band.
Now he's gotta
his
play
hands
that all the time.
are cramping. We definitely, when we write a song, we definitely don't think about, oh, how hard is this going to be to perform live? We just go, this sounds sick, so let's just do it, you know? If you hold yourself back on the, oh, am I going to be able to do this live or this live, you know, you're just not going to write the best music you can.
Sorry, we have another train.
I heard it mid-conversation.
It's never happened twice in one interview before.
No, and that's the third train that's gone by because
Yeah.
it went by before we set up, and then twice now.
We apparently picked the wrong day for the trains. But yeah, I think it was a great like premiere of you guys. Like I think of like a TV show because I'm a huge TV binge guy.
Like a pilot.
A
Like the
pilot, yeah.
episode. Yeah.
It's like if that's how bands worked, it's like, all right, give us an EP and convince us we should put the show on our network, right? Or give us your first episode, convince us, because that's how it works. I think anyone would have been happy with this. You would have gotten a huge thumbs up from anyone who can truly appreciate the genre of music.
Yeah.
Oh, we really appreciate that. It's definitely relieving to hear that. Just again, like that people connect with it and that people have liked it, because it's definitely an oversaturated genre, especially now.
Yeah.
and trying to stand out in a crowd of bands that all sound like they've, been around a minute. Especially, like up and comers, like, I don't want to say up and comers because they've been around, but like a band like Throne, where they come out the gate with an EP, kind of like us, where it's just like, holy crap. Like, and then you do the research and you realize that they've been around a while, but it's so easy to get caught in that comparing, with other bands. So it's just great to see that people
I think
like
of
us.
another band that I bring up a lot on this podcast, but Dayseeker. For a while, they sounded a lot like a lot of other metalcore bands. But then one day, Rory said, okay, I'm going to sit down here and write a little album called Sleep Talk. And it blew the fuck up because no one had heard anything that sounded like that before.
Yeah.
That specific sound. It's like when Bring Me wrote Sempiternal. Everyone was trying to mimic it after that because it was something new. And when something new happens in the metal world, it's huge. Yeah. Sleep Token, Bring Me the Horizon are now like Bring Me the Horizon's a pioneer now. They have to change their sound every album.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think you guys delivered on that as well. I think that for your first EP, you didn't just come out here and sound like Wage War or Miss May I or Bless the Fall. You came out here and you sounded like a new band that I'm going to enjoy for a long time. We kiss a lot of ass on this podcast, specifically me. And I've watched our interviews back and been like, all right, I could tone down the kissing of ass a little bit, but fuck it. I speak.
It's okay. In a band, you get your ass beaten down by everything else. A little bit of brown nosing never hurt nobody,
My one piece of advice is to you: don't ever go on Twitter.
Right.
Ignore it like the plague. Unless you're Bill Murray. Everyone seems to like Bill Murray on Twitter.
Yeah.
These guys are posers. They're not sludge grinding
right.
Can't listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck these guys. So you guys have a show coming up at the Hangar 1819, which is a legendary favorite venue of mine. And I wanted you to give you a chance to talk about that show a little bit, let everyone know about it because I saw it listed. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to just let them talk about this. Cause I also heard a rumor from a mutual friend of ours. I won't put it out there because I know it's not set in stone, but a mutual friend of ours might be helping you guys out with something I heard, possibly.
Possibly. So we'll be playing Rep Your City Fest on December 7th, and we're like, I can't remember, third band up or something. Anyway, we're super pumped about that. That's a venue that we've all gone and seen shows. I've been seeing shows there since it was, what was it called? Blind Tiger. Yeah. So like, getting to play the same stage that you were watching is just incredible. I mean, it was a bucket list venue for me to play, and to get to play it within our first year as a band really has just been, mind blowing really.
Do you remember that venue, Jake?
Yeah. That's where we saw the emergency.
Yeah. The last minute Dayseeker announced show during the hurricane.
Yeah. That was amazing.
I think it was a hurricane.
It was a great venue.
Yeah. We were joking about it because we walked in, saw Dayseeker, and left. There were no other bands. It was just emo night featuring Dayseeker. And
that's crazy. I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, I think they announced it like 4 days before the show because they were on tour with. No, it's not I Prevail. I don't remember. They were on tour with somebody, and they ended up having to cancel a show down south. And so they're like, "Fuck it, Greensboro show." First come, first serve. And we were like,
I guess we're going to
Greensboro. Well, I guess we're going to Greensboro.
They did a similar thing when Blue Ridge got canceled, and they put on like an all-day fest with, I think, like Gideon and 1056, and I wanted to go to that, but it sold out within the first hour. So
yeah, because I think Attila
they
was
kill it on that last-minute stuff.
Wasn't Attila the one like heading that show?
I believe so. That sounds right.
Yeah. We thought about going to that too, but then we were like, I'm exhausted already, and we only went to one day of Blue Ridge.
Right.
So. But yeah, like you said, it's a legendary venue, and I imagine if this podcast was a band and someone said, hey, you have the opportunity to play at the Canal Club in Richmond or Hangar 1819, I'd be like, you're fucking lying. I watch shows there.
Right.
Yeah, right. And that's like,
surreal.
It's definitely surreal because the Two Sides of Me offer came in, and that was surprising. And then we got Weeping Wound, who I'm personally a big fan of, and we were super stoked for that. And then we also have a show coming up literally, I think like 6 days from now in Greencastle, PA, with No Treaty, which is a Christian metalcore band.
Okay.
And I grew up with a lot of the Christian metalcore stuff, like For Today and When Fit for a King, Gideon, Prada. Yeah. So playing, like, kind of seeing that and like, oh crap, I get to play with, bands that like who I thought were really cool and who I still think are cool and stuff like that. It's just like every new experience we get as a band is just, we're so grateful for it. And every time it's so surreal to even be on a stage or even be doing a podcast like this, really.
Oh, well, that making me blush over here.
First Finn the Herd podcast interview, whatever you want to call it. So y'all get the first.
Take it. I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
So when y'all blow up and are huge, just
right, we'll shout you
gotta
out,
come
don't
back.
worry. That's right, we will.
It's funny because you bring up the Christian metalcore scene, and that's literally what got me into music. Like, I remember I was in a very like strict Christian household or whatever. So like my first band was like DC Talk. That was my first legit first rock band I ever heard. And then I got
a Jesus freak, man.
Yeah. Then I got into like the 1,000-Foot Crutches, the Skillets, the Reds, all that stuff.
Right.
And then I found a little band called Under Oath, and that's the band that changed my life forever. Long story short, Devil Wears Prada was like the second metalcore band I ever listened to. And I saw the Devil Wears Prada play in Lynchburg and had no idea that Two Sides was opening for them at Phase
I
2.
never knew about that, funnily enough.
It was one of the best Two Side shows I've ever seen too. And there was so much energy, right? And I'm like, damn, a band from my childhood basically is now headlining with basically friends of mine.
Right.
It's so, like he said, surreal. Like, even as a fan to witness something like that.
It's a small world. You just never know what's going to come across your doorstep.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So how was your first show? I want to hear.
We loved it.
How it went. Yeah.
We loved it. A first show, isn't meant to be perfect. We loved the crowd. We had family and friends there. Funnily enough, Two Sides of Me was there to watch, which was awesome. And really, it's just like that first show. Once you get off the floor or the stage, it's just like, oh crap, we're doing this. Like, people get to stare at you and judge you, and you try to get them to have fun, because that's really what it's all about, is trying to get people to have fun. If you play good music too, that's a bonus, but really it's all about having fun.
There you go. Did you feel like so I've never talked to a band that, no offense, has only played one show before. So right. I'm curious, what is the nerves like when you step on stage? Like, do you instantly like get kind of freaked out by it, or are you like, okay, this is what we've been leading up to, so it's fine? Like, yeah, I'm just curious.
I think it's definitely different. I think it was different for both of us. Ashton and our fill-in drummer had experience playing shows, so me and Caleb were like the show virgins, right? I remember. I think what happens is, like, I'm very much a disassociator, so like I'll just be like, you can't back out now, man. There ain't no reason about thinking about it, Yeah. As the days get closer and closer, you're like, oh crap, like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
And but once you hear the music start to play and you look at people's faces, it starts to fade away. Now, the nerves can come back in once you're like in between songs and you're like, oh, what the hell? Why am I here? And Caleb processed it, I think, in a very similar way to me, where he was nervous as the days went by, and right before the stage, right before you hit the stage, it's just like, oh, whoa, like, we're here.
Yeah.
And that Lido show could not have helped the nerves.
I'm sure.
No. If this show had turned out the way that did, we jokingly have said, man, I guess let's just be an internet band.
We're putting on a live stream. I know none of y'all have heard of us before, but watch our live stream.
That's right.
From the bedroom, the bedroom sessions.
Do the COVID style concerts when those were around, the live streams with
some of those
big LED screens.
Cool. Some of those live streams were dope though. I will say.
Sometimes I want to see them come back just as like, not obviously to replace live music, but to see just a one-off, like just do it, you know?
Yeah. I will say sometimes my legs and my feet be hurting from all the shows I go to. And I'm like, yo, one or two of these shows could be a living room show.
Yeah. Can I sit down, please? Can I get a couch?
Yeah. So I'm curious, what kind of set list did you guys play with the new EP being out? Did you just play the new EP, or did you play any previous work on it? Or
so these 5 songs that are the EP are the only things that we have. I shouldn't say the only things we have ever written, but the only things that are like fully produced and done. Okay. So we played the EP front to back in full. We are currently working on adding another song to the set list for December 7th, but that's on the hush hush for what's next for Them to Heard. All
right. Sick. Awesome. Well, that is absolutely incredible. And I'm going to try and catch your show in Greensboro for sure.
I'll tell you this. It's debatably, I would say, I wouldn't even say debatably. I think it's the heaviest thing we've ever done.
Oh, okay.
Not Ronnie Radke kind of heavy.
Not what?
I really thought you liked me.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not that kind of heavy.
I like you're wearing the Whitechapel shirt, so we're going more in that direction, maybe.
Yeah.
You could say maybe.
Maybe it could be completely opposite. I don't really know.
Yeah.
A ballad with a heavy subject matter.
It's actually
That's right. It's heavy on the soul. Right, that's right.
It's actually a full acoustic song.
It's just Ashton with an acoustic guitar.
It's the
that's
heaviest thing we've ever done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. A really heartfelt ending to our song.
I mean, you never know. Imminence is blowing up right now. You could literally just walk on stage with a violin, and that's still metalcore at this point. So.
Pretty metal, I think, to bring the violin up.
Yeah, if only I knew how to play the
violin. Levi, I want to talk to you a little bit about your vocals, man, because I specifically on this EP, one of the things that stood out to me was, dude, this guy's never played a show, basically, at the time of recording this. He has one EP out, and you sound just as good, if not better, than most of the bands we listen to, as far as vocals go. I think that you are one of those dudes that people are going to recognize one day as having a very unique voice. Like, someone hears Ollie's voice from Bring Me In, like, yeah, that's Oliver Sykes. I think Levi is going to end up being a staple in the metalcore world with how toned in and tuned you are with your vocals.
That warms my heart, man. I think you're getting the brownie points tonight, You get
the
How long have you been working
star.
on your vocals?
It's tough to say. So I'm about to be 23, and I've been seriously working on them since I was 16. I've been blessed to work with some really talented people, working with vocals. I've gotten lucky to work with Ryan Kirby of Fit for a King, JT Cavey of Era, and Michael Felkner of, excuse me, I might be saying his last name wrong, of Convictions.
Dude, that's sick. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool to, like, you sit on like a Zoom or a Discord call with them and you're like, oh, you're real. You're like, oh, you're a real person.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely helped. But really it's just like, before I even met Caleb or Ashton, it was really like, I'm just going to practice them because it's fun. And one day I want to do the metal thing for real. And when that opportunity comes down, I want to be ready for it. And so it just was like, part of it was like, I'm going to do it because it's fun. And the other part is like, one day I'm going to try and be in a metalcore band, even though the scene in Roanoke, Virginia, for me seemed really, really bleak in terms of finding band members.
Dude, I love Roanoke to death. I know there's a lot of fans in there, but I gotta say, the Roanoke music scene, especially for rock and metal, is trash.
It's not very good. We've gotten a few, shout out to Roanoke hardcore shows and shout out to the Spot on Kirk for booking metalcore and hardcore bands. Like, getting Terror to come through here relatively recently was probably like the coolest thing I've ever
that is
seen.
cool, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a 250 person room, and it was packed in a skate shop, and that was so cool. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, your scene does affect you in some ways, especially like in finding members. But thank God for the internet, because that's how I found Caleb. We don't even live in the same city.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how spread out are you guys?
So me and Ashton are from Roanoke, and then Caleb is from Harrisonburg area.
Okay.
So he's about an hour and a half away, but me and him met through a find a musician website by the luck of the draw. Like,
that exists?
Yeah,
it's like a dating exists. App for musicians.
Exactly like that. Except everyone says you can select your genre of what you want, what genre. And when you click metal, everyone's like, I want to be in a Metallica cover band. And then you're like, oh, come on, man. And you'd be surprised at the amount of, dude, I mean, there's no shame in that game. It's just not what I need or what I want,
I want to be in a Ronnie Radke type project. If you've ever heard Fall Universe, that's what I want to sound like.
Yeah.
Metalmingle.com. I'm patenting it right now.
So yeah, shout out to, I think it's findamusician.com. Shout out to them for having Thin the Herd start from that.
That's so cool. That's like when your parents ask you, no, and I mean no offense to this. It's like when your parents ask you, oh, how you meet your girlfriend? Online.
Yeah. Online. She was on one of those twerking compilations.
I slid into her DMs.
She was throwing it back like crazy. I couldn't resist.
Oh, shit. Well, that's still cool, dude. It's like, you don't need some epic, we all were on walks at the same time and we were all listening to the same Motionless in White song and we just knew it was destiny.
I mean, me and Ashton met through working at Chipotle of all places. So, I mean, you just don't know where you're going to meet your band member. That's right.
Oh, don't shout out.
My bad. Shout out Moe's.
Shout out. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. But it's actually interesting because even though we met at Chipotle and we kind of, we knew we had shared interests in metal, I didn't even get to hear any of his demos or any of his music until we started hanging out with a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah. It's fate, man. Like, every time I'm the chances of meeting these guys was 1 in a million. It is really getting struck by lightning. So it's just how this all happened. I'm just I don't know, but I'm just going to try and roll with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we took a look at your Spotify numbers a little bit too before the show started. And again, for a band that has played one show, I cannot stress that enough, listeners. For a metalcore band to sound as good as they do and have played one show, and they have over almost 3,000 monthly listeners, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a little surreal for us too. We look at that and we're like, it's bots, bro. It's gotta be bots. Yeah.
Playlist.
It's actually just Jake, Tony, EJ, and I. No, but dude,
that's a hard ass cover photo you got there too.
Yeah,
I know. We tried to look like we were tough. Yeah, about to maybe mug you or something.
Cool and mysterious.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you got that. Yeah.
Speaking of hard, what a choice. Okay. Shut the fuck up.
Phrasing.
Sorry.
We're 12 years old.
Phrasing. The choice to name the EP Herd Mentality after your band is Thin the Herd is such a good choice. I don't know if y'all ever discussed if that would be too corny or anything like that, but if anyone in your band said maybe that would be too corny, they were wrong and you made the right decision.
Caleb spouted it one day. We couldn't decide on an EP name. We weren't are we going to name it after a track or something? And Caleb just said that one day, and we were like, that's it. No one's coming up with anything better, so we run with it.
Perfect. I mean, that's the thing right now, right? Knocked Loose saying their own name in a song, and bands are quoting their band name in lyrics, and that's great. I like that. It's
it's hard, man. You gotta shout yourself up.
Yeah, that's good.
My favorite part of the whole EP was the fuck it I'm
glad you said it like that. That It makes
Well,
it seem
I
really
didn't know how to
deep.
replicate the sound.
No, you're good.
Well, you give it a try, Jake. It's fuck it.
That's awesome.
I was like, I heard that. I was like, God damn. But guys, it has been great having you on the show. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for like setting it up with us. And I know that both of us were extremely busy, missing text messages from one another. So I'm glad
Right.
y'all were able to stick with it and make it happen. And I plan to have you guys on again because I think that one of these days y'all are going to be so much bigger than us as a podcast, and I can't wait to talk to you after you've played some like really big rooms with some really big artists and pretty much went exactly where I thought you would from this point on. Because I could definitely see you guys blowing up.
Our predictions have never been wrong.
No, they have not.
Oh, never, huh?
No.
No.
Nope.
Well, we're about to change that.
So our predictions so far have been, okay, Ronnie Radke's ass, Eminence is going to blow up, and what other predictions have
Well,
we...
I mean, I predicted Bill Murray. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah, Bill Murray blowing up, too, yeah.
That's actually a pretty crazy. That's some
That's out there.
That's some Oracle stuff right there.
Yeah, I heard that and I knew. I was like, I don't know why, but this shit fucks. It's going to take off.
Yep. So
Yeah.
Bill Murray's huge. Ronnie Radke is still ass, and y'all are going to blow up. So
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the kind words. Like starting out, getting anything back is so awesome.
Especially
And
with it being so positive.
yeah, and obviously, if you want to have us back, we'll happily be back. It was awesome to talk to y'all.
hell yeah. Well, plug anything you got coming up. Plug your music. Plug your merch. Plug your show. Tell our listeners where to find you and how they can best support you.
So our tag on pretty much everything is Thin the Herd Band. It's simple. Just do that. We have merch up on our thintheherdstore.com. Go check that out. We have a show 11/17 at Greencastle, PA at Blue Heron Events with No Treaty. We also have what we mentioned before, Rep Your City Fest 12/7 with a bunch of bands. I'm not even going to try to list them off because it's just too many to name. And you'll be having new music early next year.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys again, and we'll look forward to what you guys do in the future, okay?
We're looking forward to showing you, and thank you for having us.
Thanks.
And anytime you want to leak music to us, we artists do that for us. You know, Tony and Garrett from
Maybe.
Silent Planet.
We might show you a sneak peek or something.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, y'all have a good one, okay? Thanks again.
All right. See ya.